All right, so get ready. Today we're taking a deep dive into a truly remarkable story from Kathryn Kuhlman's book, Nothing is Impossible with God.
Oh, I love this book. It's filled with those incredible accounts of healing that just leave you in awe.
Right, and the story you are about to explore is no exception. It features a seemingly ordinary couple, Marvel and Clarence Luton from California, who were active in their Lutheran church.
Yeah, their story is a testament to how, even amidst the mundane, the extraordinary can break through.
Exactly. Now, they led pretty normal lives until Clarence had this terrifying experience.
Oh, are you talking about that awful food poisoning incident?
Yeah, after eating a simple hamburger. Imagine that.
I remember reading that. It was like his insides were on fire, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He ended up in critical condition.
And it took him months to recover.
It makes you realize how fragile life can be.
It does. One minute you're fine, and the next you're fighting for your life.
It really sets the stage for what's to come.
Oh, definitely. It's like foreshadowing the deeper trials they'll face later on.
Now, on the other side of the family, something amazing happens to Marvel. She'd been struggling with arthritis in her hands.
Oh, yeah. And her mother encouraged her to go to a Kathryn Kuhlman service.
In Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine going into that kind of atmosphere, maybe a bit skeptical, with aching hands, hoping for a miracle?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of healing was probably completely outside of her normal experience.
But during the service, her hands are completely
Yeah.
healed. No more swelling, no more pain.
Wow. What a moment that must have been.
Even Clarence, a self-proclaimed skeptic, was stunned.
Of course. It's like a door to a whole new world suddenly swung open.
But they weren't quite ready to step through just yet.
Right, but it definitely planted a seed.
Oh, absolutely. And that seed would soon be tested because about a year later, Clarence becomes incredibly ill.
This wasn't food poisoning this time, right?
This was different. A relentless, agonizing pain, coupled with bloating and a fever that wouldn't break.
And if I remember correctly, the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong.
Exactly. They were baffled. They couldn't diagnose the cause of his suffering.
Which just added to the mystery and their desperation.
It must have been terrifying not knowing what was wrong or how to fix it.
Absolutely. It's like a nightmare you can't wake up from.
And to make matters worse, his condition continues to deteriorate.
Oh, I remember this part. All those draining tubes and the corrosive fluids.
Then that awful odor that filled his hospital room.
It must have been unbearable.
It was. Kuhlman doesn't shy away from the graphic details in her book.
It's a stark contrast to the hope we saw with Marvel's healing.
Right. And then it gets even worse.
What could be worse than that?
The doctors suggest calling in a salesman to discuss.
Cemetery plots.
You got it.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Talk about a gut punch.
It really underscores the gravity of the situation.
But amidst this darkness, a glimmer of hope starts to emerge.
Oh, good. I was wondering where this was going.
Different people start showing up at the hospital to pray for Clarence.
Like a little army of support, right?
Exactly. There's a nurse who felt compelled to come back after her shift, even though she wasn't assigned to Clarence.
That's interesting.
Then an old friend, Mary Turpin, comes in with her Bible, saying God led her there.
Wow, that's powerful. It seems like something bigger is at work here.
It really does. And it doesn't stop there. Clarence even remembers a Catholic nurse who came in, took his blood pressure, and then prayed for him.
It's like all these different people from different faiths were drawn to pray for him.
It's really amazing. It's like a silent army of faith was rallying around him.
But despite all those prayers, Clarence continued to get worse.
He did. The surgical stitches wouldn't heal, the drainage was relentless, and that awful odor persisted.
It's like every step forward was met with 2 steps back.
It was a constant battle. And then comes a pivotal moment.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What happens next?
Remember Marvel's mother, the one who encouraged her to go to the Kathryn Kuhlman service?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she suggests that they take Clarence to one as well.
Wow. That's quite a suggestion considering how sick he was.
It was a moment of radical hope.
Or a leap of faith.
And so they begin the journey to Los Angeles.
With Clarence in excruciating pain the entire way.
I can't imagine how difficult that must have been.
It was a pilgrimage in a way.
Yes, a journey of hope and surrender. They arrive at the Shrine Auditorium, finally.
And they managed to get Clarence a seat in the wheelchair section.
But even with Kathryn Kuhlman on stage, their focus is on managing Clarence's pain.
He must have been so uncomfortable.
He was constantly shifting, groaning, just desperate for any relief.
Oh, I can picture it. It's like even in this atmosphere of faith and healing, his suffering is so real.
And you just wonder, will anything change? Will this be another disappointment?
Right. The suspense is killing me.
And then Kathryn Kuhlman utters a single word that changes everything. Cancer.
Whoa, hold on. Did she just... She did. And remember, Clarence hadn't told anyone about the cancer diagnosis.
Oh, right. It was like she'd peer right into his soul.
And Kuhlman doesn't stop there. She senses his hesitation and urges him to stand.
Claiming his healing right then and there.
Classic Kuhlman. She often claimed to receive divine insights about people's conditions.
It's part of what made her services so compelling. But for Clarence, in that moment, he's weak and in pain.
He must have been wondering, can I even stand?
But then a personal worker gently helps him to his feet.
A little nudge of encouragement.
And as Clarence slowly makes his way to the back of the auditorium, something incredible starts to happen.
He starts to feel better.
It's as if the very act of standing, of taking those first steps, ignited something within him.
I love that. He's no longer passively enduring his illness.
He's participating in his own healing. And now he's walking with confidence, head held high.
Wow, what a transformation.
And then, as he steps onto the platform, a radiant joy washes over his face.
You can practically feel the shift in energy, can't you?
It's palpable. Then Kuhlman asks him about his pain. And he says, "Yes, ma'am, I sure was." But then, with a grin, he adds, "No, ma'am, I'm sure not."
Wow, what a moment. He's completely free of pain.
And when she asks him when the pain left, he points back to that moment when she called out cancer from the stage.
It's as if that word acted as a catalyst, breaking the hold of the illness.
And then something even more dramatic unfolds. Kuhlman, sensing this surge of spiritual energy, reaches out and prays for Clarence. He falls to the floor.
Oh, I've heard about this falling under the power phenomenon.
It was common during her services.
A physical manifestation of a spiritual encounter.
Exactly. Now, Marvel, who witnessed this before, notices something different this time.
What was it?
She describes it as a tangible wave of God's presence washing over her.
Wow, a powerful spiritual awakening for Marvel.
Clarence returns to his seat, and Marvel, brimming with excitement, leans over and asks, "Have you been healed?"
Such an important question.
And Clarence, still marveling at his own transformation, replies, "I believe I have."
It's not just about the absence of pain, is it? It's about a newfound faith.
And then he does something that leaves everyone speechless.
What's that?
He pushes his wheelchair aside, walks to the car, and announces that he's driving home.
No way. But it had been months since he had driven.
I know. But Clarence was unwavering in his determination. He had this burning desire to share his testimony at his church that night.
He wanted to tell everyone who had been praying for him.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he does. He walks into his church that evening, radiating joy and vitality.
A living testament to the power of faith.
And just 4 days later, he sits down to a Thanksgiving meal.
His first solid food in months.
It's a powerful symbol of his restored health.
And then the story takes another turn.
Clarence returns to his doctors, and they're completely baffled by his recovery.
Wait, the doctors who told him to start thinking about cemetery plots.
The very same. One of them even declares it a medical miracle.
Wow. But for Clarence and Marvel, it was more than a medical miracle, right?
It was a profound testament to the power of God.
A confirmation of their faith.
And a reminder that with God, all things are possible.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. It makes you realize that maybe we limit ourselves by what we think is possible.
Exactly. Clarence and Marvel, they were willing to step outside of their comfort zones and embrace something totally new.
They went from skepticism to this place of, radical openness, trusting in a power they couldn't even fully grasp.
Right, and it wasn't just about Clarence's physical healing. It was a spiritual awakening for both of them.
It's like they finally allowed themselves to believe in the impossible.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they unlocked this incredible healing power.
And it wasn't just their faith that played a role. Remember all those people who were praying for Clarence?
Yeah. It was like their collective faith created this ripple effect, sending healing energy toward him.
It's like our thoughts and prayers can actually have a real impact on the world around us.
It's pretty amazing. And Clarence, being determined to go back to his church and share his story.
Oh, yeah, that's another incredible aspect of this whole journey.
He wanted to inspire others with his experience.
It shows how transformative these healing events can be. They often lead to this desire to share the good news.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Clarence and Marvel's story,
Hmm.
it's clear that even in the darkest of times, when we're faced with impossible challenges,
Hope remains.
it's a testament to the power of faith, God's unwavering love, and the potential for miracles to happen in our lives.
Absolutely. And it invites us to maybe ask ourselves, what if we dared to believe in something bigger than ourselves?
What miracles might we witness both within us and around us? That's something to think about.
It really is.